The Galactic Empire was a legend known across many star systems, an ancient and powerful coalition of countless worlds. With fleets that could darken suns and technology that seemed like magic to less advanced species, they had conquered, allied with, or absorbed countless civilizations over millennia, yet the Milky Way remained a mystery to them. After years of observation, the Empire's Grand Fleet finally arrived, expecting to find a primitive species living in fear or awe, ready to be either crushed under the Empire's might or humbly joined as subjects. Instead, their first encounter was unlike anything the Empire had ever imagined. Humanity, the species native to Earth, greeted the Empire's arrival not with silence, panic, or desperate submission, but with loud, genuine laughter. The very sight of the towering, heavily armed ships in the sky was met with jokes, playful insults, and an attitude so bold it stunned the Empire's officials. The humans seemed almost unaware of the Empire's fearsome reputation, and their informal, irreverent style made the Empire's formal, serious delegates feel uneasy. They found themselves staring at humans who wore strange clothes, ate strange foods, and spoke in ways that were at once confusing and strangely captivating. The humans joked about the Empire's impressive ships, compared their own tiny vessels to flying tin cans, and even invited the Empire's delegates to join in casual games that seemed to have no rules at all. It was as if the humans didn't take the Empire seriously, and this was a blow to the pride of a civilization that was used to unquestioned respect or fear. The Empire's diplomats tried to maintain their composure and insisted on formal greetings, but the humans laughed through every protocol, turning ceremonies into celebrations of humor and strange customs. They shared stories about their history, full of both great achievements and amusing failures, showing an unexpected mix of confidence and humility that puzzled their visitors. Even their leaders, who appeared less tall and less technologically impressive than the Empire's envoys, held a presence that demanded attention not through threats or power, but through warmth and an infectious sense of humor. The humans' laughter was not mockery, but a genuine response to the overwhelming seriousness and rigidity the Empire had brought with it. Slowly, the Empire's officials began to question everything they thought they knew about power, control, and respect. This first meeting was not the conquest or alliance they had prepared for. It was the beginning of something entirely new. As the sun set on Earth's blue skies, the Empire's ships hovered silently, and the humans continued their lively banter, turning what should have been a moment of fear into one of curiosity and unexpected friendship. The stage was set for a collision of worlds and cultures where laughter could become the most powerful weapon, and where humans would prove that strength was not always about might, but sometimes about spirit and heart. No one on either side could predict what would come next, but everyone knew that the galaxy was about to change forever. After their unusual first contact, the Galactic Empire quickly realized that meeting humanity was not going to be like any other encounter they had ever experienced, expecting swift submission, or at least serious negotiations. They instead met a species that refused to be intimidated by overwhelming power. The Empire sent vast fleets into orbit around Earth. There, ships like dark giants casting shadows over the planet, hoping to display their strength and force humans to reconsider their bold attitude. Advanced weapons systems activated, powerful energy shields shimmered across the hulls, and messages were sent demanding obedience or cooperation under strict terms. Yet humanity did not bow or panic. Instead, they responded in ways that confused and frustrated the Empire's commanders. Where the Empire expected fear, humans showed humor and creativity. They sent messages back filled with jokes, riddles, and clever wordplay that seemed to mock the Empire's seriousness without disrespecting it. Humans launched their own small ships in unpredictable patterns, playing what looked like cat-and-mouse games rather than aggressive maneuvers. When the Empire attempted to demonstrate their superior technology with dazzling displays of power, humans countered with unconventional tactics, using the planet's own environment, electronic tricks, and surprisingly low-tech methods to disrupt sensors and communications. The Empire's attempts at intimidation felt like trying to catch smoke, slipping through their fingers as humans danced around protocols and challenges with a smile. Diplomats tried issuing ultimatums, warning that failure to comply would bring consequences. But the humans treated these statements like challenges to solve, rather than threats to fear. Instead of pleading or negotiating with desperation, humanity treated the entire situation as if it were a complex puzzle or a game to be won by cleverness and calm. This approach deeply unsettled the Empire's officials, who were trained to command respect through fear and power. They found themselves facing a species that did not take itself too seriously, yet remained fiercely determined and confident. In its own way, the humans' refusal to act like victims or enemies, combined with their unpredictable nature, sparked something unexpected in the Empire, a mixture of curiosity, respect, and even admiration. The more the Empire tried to force the issue, the more humanity's wit and humor shone through, breaking down the usual barriers of diplomacy and control. Some commanders, once convinced of humanity's weakness, began to doubt their own assumptions about strength and leadership. These doubts spread slowly through the ranks as human messages, filled with clever word games and friendly challenges, reached deeper into the Empire's command centers. The humans' ability to laugh in the face of danger, to turn tension into playful rivalry, was something the Empire had never encountered before. Slowly, a new understanding began to form. Strength was not only about weapons and fleets, but also about spirit, resilience, and the ability to stay true to oneself under pressure. This realization did not come easily or without resistance, but it planted a seed of change in the Empire's view of humanity. The humans had shown that they would not be conquered or controlled by force or fear. They were ready to meet power with cleverness and confidence, and to stand tall even when the odds seemed against them. As the standoff continued, both sides realized that this was no ordinary conflict. It was a test, not just of strength, but of character, and the outcome would shape the future of both species. Suspense hung heavy in the space between Earth and the Empire's ships. But one thing was clear: humanity's humble defiance had rewritten the rules of engagement, and the galaxy would never see anything quite like it again. After weeks of tense standoff and unpredictable encounters, the Galactic Empire finally understood that their usual displays of power would never break humanity's spirit. The humans were not just resilient. They were unlike any species the Empire had met before: bold, witty, and surprisingly open to connection on their own terms. Recognizing that brute force was useless, the Empire's leaders decided to change their approach, shifting from threats to diplomacy and trade. However, this transition was not easy for a civilization built on strict rules, hierarchy, and formal exchanges of wealth and technology. The humans, in contrast, did not begin talks by offering their ships, weapons, or rare minerals. Instead, they offered something unfamiliar to the Empire: stories, jokes, music, and ideas. They invited the Empire's envoys to experience their culture, sharing laughter and tales that sometimes confused, sometimes delighted, but always challenged the Empire's rigid way of thinking. Slowly, a fragile and cautious friendship began to grow between two very different worlds. Humans introduced creativity and humor into the cold, precise rituals of the Empire's diplomats, who were initially unsure how to respond but soon found themselves intrigued by this new form of communication. What began as awkward exchanges turned into lively debates, performances, and even friendly competitions of wit and storytelling. These interactions started to influence the Empire's own culture, which had long been dominated by order and seriousness. The humans' fresh perspective encouraged some members of the Empire to rethink their traditions and question whether there might be more to power than control and discipline. New ideas began to take root, ideas that blended human imagination with the Empire's advanced technology. This unexpected cultural fusion led to innovations neither side could have predicted. Some scientists in the Empire experimented with creative approaches to technology inspired by human stories and art, while humans adapted some Empire techniques with their own flair and humor. The result was a surprising wave of progress and experimentation that energized both societies. Despite lingering suspicions and old prejudices, the alliance grew stronger, because it was built not on fear or greed, but on mutual respect and curiosity. Still, the path forward was uncertain and filled with challenges. Both humans and Empire members faced resistance from those who feared change or doubted the sincerity of this new friendship. Political tensions simmered beneath the surface, and some feared that the alliance might collapse under pressure. Yet, the human ability to laugh, to find joy even in difficult times, helped ease tensions and build bridges. This alliance was fragile, but it carried the promise of a new future where different worlds could learn from each other and create something greater together. As both sides looked ahead, the galaxy watched with anticipation, wondering what would come next from this most unlikely of partnerships. Just when the fragile alliance between humanity and the Galactic Empire seemed to be taking root, a sudden and dangerous crisis erupted from within the Empire itself. A rogue faction, refusing to accept the new cooperation and afraid of the changes humanity brought, launched a violent attack on some of the Empire's most important core worlds. These rogue forces were ruthless, determined to disrupt peace and seize control through chaos and destruction. The Empire's traditional military leaders, bound by strict protocols and cautious strategies, found themselves struggling to respond effectively. They're well planned. Orderly battle plans became slow and inflexible in the face of the rogue faction's unpredictable moves and fierce aggression. The situation grew desperate as entire worlds faced devastation, and the Empire's proud fleets were pushed back time and again. It was in this moment of crisis that humanity's true value became clear. Like the Empire's forces, humans did not rely on rigid rules or formal commands. They embraced adaptability and creative problem-solving. Working alongside the Empire's commanders, humans proposed bold and unconventional plans that involved daring feints, unexpected alliances with local populations, and the use of technology in ways the Empire had never considered. They moved quickly, sometimes risking everything on intuition and teamwork rather than strict calculations. These fresh ideas and flexible tactics turned the tide of the conflict. Humans led small, fast squads into areas where the enemy least expected them, disrupting supply lines and communications. They found ways to inspire and rally the Empire's soldiers who had begun to lose hope, reminding them of the larger cause and the possibility of peace. Slowly but surely, the rogue factions' advances were pushed back. Their plans unraveled by the unexpected combination of human ingenuity and Empire resources. The victory was hard-fought and came at great cost, but it was clear to everyone that humanity had played a critical role in saving countless lives and preserving the Empire's core. This success did more than just end the crisis. It reshaped the relationship between humans and the Empire. No longer were humans seen as mere newcomers or strange outsiders. They had proven themselves as trusted allies and vital partners. Their unique perspective and willingness to challenge old ways had brought new strength to the Empire, and many leaders began to call them catalysts for change rather than threats to tradition. The victory inspired hope across the galaxy, showing that cooperation between different worlds and ways of thinking was not only possible, but essential for survival in a complex universe. Yet, beneath the celebrations, there remained challenges to face. Some factions within the Empire still resisted change, and the scars of the conflict reminded everyone that peace was fragile. But humanity's place was now secure, not as subjects, to be ruled, but as equal contributors to the future of the Galactic Empire. As the dust settled and the stars shone over rebuilt worlds, a new chapter began, one where bold ideas and laughter could lead the way through the darkest of times, and where the spirit of humanity had become a beacon for all who sought hope and unity among the stars. With the shadow of the rogue faction finally lifted and peace restored, a new era began between humanity and the Galactic Empire, one filled with cautious optimism and bold possibilities. Empire's leaders, who once relied solely on strict order and discipline, started to see the value of the flexible, open-minded approach that humans had brought. Inspired by human laughter, which had once been mistaken for disrespect or mockery, they began to embrace humor. resilience, and the ability to adapt quickly to changing circumstances. This laughter, loud and genuine, grew into a symbol of strength, a sign that even the most powerful civilizations could benefit from a lighter, more creative spirit. Across countless worlds, humans and Empire citizens shared stories and jokes, blending traditions and breaking down old barriers that had long divided them. This new cooperation brought not only peace, but a surge of creativity and innovation. Technologies that once seemed fixed in ancient formulas were reinvented with human imagination, and cultural exchanges blossomed into celebrations of diversity and unity. The rigid walls of the Empire's past softened as laughter, and ideas flowed freely, inspiring even the most conservative leaders to consider new ways of governing and connecting with their people. Yet, beneath the surface, both civilizations remained watchful, aware that the galaxy was vast and unpredictable. Challenges would come again, but this time, humanity and the Empire were no longer alone. They faced the future together, stronger, because of their differences and the respect they had earned from one another. The story of their first meeting, once marked by confusion and laughter, now echoed across the stars as a reminder that strength was not just power or control, but the courage to be different, to question and to embrace change. As ships from Earth and the Empire's worlds moved side by side through the cosmos, there was a shared sense of excitement and wonder about what lay ahead. Endless possibilities awaited a future where the Alliance would explore new frontiers, create new cultures, and build a galaxy where unity was born from respect and joy. The humans, once underestimated, had transformed the course of history, proving that sometimes the greatest force in the universe is the simple act of laughter and the unyielding spirit to keep moving forward. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, reflecting the hope of a new beginning where two very different civilizations had found common ground. And as the galaxy looked on, it was clear that this was only the beginning of a story that would be told for generations, a story of unlikely friends, shared dreams, and the power of laughter to change everything.